I want to talk about these failed medical theories over the last, say 6, 7, 8,000 years. Every century, there's been thousands of failed medical theories, and of course the 20th century and 21st century is no different. And there's hundreds of them, maybe even thousands. But I want to talk about some of the more common ones. Obesity. The medical system for the last close to 100 years, and the medical sort of leanings of the government, which follows the directives of the medical group, that obesity is due to lack of exercise and eating too much. Well, it turns out that obesity is due to a simple deficiency of a nutritional category, and some nutrients in that category. If you're deficient in them, you're going to be a 600-pound, 800-pound person. And, of course, we have a wonderful system to deal with that. We have the healthy weight loss pack, and we can get into that another day. And then there's the salt thing. Oh, yes, salt is terrible for you because it increases your risk of high blood pressure and cardiovascular disease, particularly if you're African-American or black. It turns out that, the Center for Disease Control's suggestions or recommendations for salt levels way, 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 way too low for health, and the salt has nothing to do with blood pressure, even in the black community. And then there's genetics. Every disease is supposed to be caused by bad genes, and all we're going to do is genetically engineer good genes and do genetic screening and then insert the good genes, replace the bad genes. Well, it turns out there's not a single disease that's genetically transmitted. Every birth defect is caused by nutritional deficiency in the embryo. Even things like type 2 diabetes, long thought to be a genetically transmitted disease, is a simple nutritional deficiency we've known for over 70 years is caused by deficiency of a single mineral. And then let's see here. We have dementia. Dementia is genetic. Everybody knows that. Particularly Alzheimer's disease. Well, Alzheimer's disease is a relatively new disease. It's only been around for 44 years. And before that, it didn't exist even by another name. Dementia, a.k.a. Alzheimer's disease, vascular dementia, Korsakoff syndrome, Wernicke-Korsakoff syndrome, vitamin B12 deficiency dementia, all these are physician-caused diseases. All of them are caused by physicians giving misinformation. Physicians have become experts of misinformation, okay? And so it's just really, really tragic. And then there's, let's see here. Now there is, cardiovascular disease. Cardiovascular disease. They want you to think that all cardiovascular disease is due to cholesterol. Well, congestive heart failure is due to a deficiency of a single vitamin. Cardiomyopathy heart disease is due to a deficiency of a single mineral. Clogged arteries, coronary artery disease, is caused by a attack by inflammatory things like trans fatty acids, heterocyclic amines, acrylamides, causing inflammation of the lining of the arteries. And this is what causes obstructive disease of coronary arteries, cerebral arteries, kidney arteries, eye arteries. It has nothing to do with cholesterol. And then, of course, you're looking at mad cow disease. They wanted you to think that was this new infectious organism called a prion. It turns out mad cow disease is a deficiency of a single mineral. We've known that since 1865. It was in sheep originally. It was called enzootic ataxia in sheep, Creutzfeldt-Jacobs disease in humans. And I've actually reversed a diagnosis by medical doctors on several people who were diagnosed with Creutzfeldt-Jacobs disease, the human version, by giving the 90 essential nutrients plus a little extra of that secret sauce containing that mineral. And it goes away relatively rapidly. Okay? And so, I get people off of 27 prescription drugs. We're on the heart transplant list. We get people who have been 8 years going downhill. They're unconscious or in hospice for Alzheimer's disease. In 5 days' time, on the 90 essential nutrients, they come out of their coma, they get dressed, tie their tie impeccably, and that next morning go to work. Hello? We do this thousands of times a year. This is very, very simple stuff. And so these are all failed medical theories in the 20th and 21st century. And if I went over all of them, it would take us 2 days, because there are thousands of failed medical theories from the 20th century and in the early parts of the 21st century. And this is no different. This is no different. The earth is not flat. The sun does not rotate around the earth. And mad cow disease is not caused by prions. Diabetes is not caused by genetics. Dementia is not caused by genetics. Salt does not cause high blood pressure. And obesity is not caused by eating too much and lack of exercise. Are you beginning to get the picture here? And that's why, of course, my audio cassette tape, Dead Doctors and I, resonate with so many people. Okay, and so I want you to get the sort of newer version. Is called The Best of Dead Doctors Don't Lie. And stay tuned, listen up, because I have a new CD coming out here in about 2 weeks, this new CD. Oh my gosh, do I dare tell you the title? Yeah, I'll tell you the title. It's Public Enemy Number One. You have to appreciate the Nazis during the Second World War murdered, did horrible things to somewhere between 40 and 60 million people, depending on whose figures you use. We're not talking about soldiers. We're just talking about innocent civilians. Then you look at what they did by giving bad advice and misinformation to people. Medical doctors in the last 100 years have killed over 1 billion people worldwide. Medical doctors have killed 1 billion people worldwide in the last 100 years by giving misinformation because they had become experts in misinformation. Well, contact your Youngevity associate, ask for the book Epigenetics, The Death of the Genetic Theory of Disease Transmission, and you'll learn about all of these failed medical theories. You'll learn what to do to save yourself and your family from all these horrible diseases just by simple supplementation with the 90 for Life program. Stick with us. We'll be back with more Truth, Justice, and the Youngevity Way on Dead Doctors Don't Lie after these messages. Okay, Doug, what pearls of wisdom do you have for us today?
Well, this one basically, once again, we should start keeping track of how often you get vindicated, because it's starting to be a daily basis almost these days. But an ABC News story here headlined, "New cholesterol guidelines mean these foods could be back on the table." Say, an influential group of nutrition scientists have indicated the USDA may drop the cholesterol guidelines, a 50-year-old warning against eating cholesterol-laden foods. They say a current recommendation by the USDA is adults to consume no more than 300 milligrams of cholesterol per day from dietary sources. The agency won't make any changes to those guidelines for at least 6 months, and if they do, they will still caution diabetics and those who take statin medications to refrain from eating high cholesterol foods. Didn't they come out and say statin drugs cause type 2 diabetes?
That's correct. That was in February of 2012. The FDA actually sent out an email to all licensed medical doctors in America and said, stop giving Lipitor, Zocor, and Mevacor and other statin drugs to your patients because it increases the risk of type 2 diabetes by 52% and Alzheimer's disease by 100%.
Yeah, and I don't know of anybody that I know that was taking statins that their doctor said, oh, by the way, they still kept taking them. And so that these foods that they're saying you can probably go safely eat are ones that we've been recommending for years, and that is eggs. They say have long been the poster child for anti-cholesterol message because one large egg contains nearly a day's worth of cholesterol, according to the USDA nutritional database. The new guidelines, if they're accepted, say will be allowed to have 636 milligrams, and that's 3 eggs. And they say the cheese won't matter because they're adding that to the list too. And bacon, they say, might want to make it back onto the breakfast table. They say, however, there are other health reasons for limiting your bacon intake, high amounts of sodium, fats, and, of course, nitrates. They say liver, 1 ounce of chicken liver holds about 180 milligrams of dietary cholesterol. A typical 4-ounce serving of organ meat is more than 200% above the current recommendation by the USDA. And the American Heart Association, they say other meats considered high in cholesterol are lamb, duck, fattier cuts of beef, and pork. Shellfish could be back on the list, or on the table, that is. They say shrimp, 194 milligrams per 3.5-ounce serving. Could be back on the table. They say other shellfish would be, once again, considered healthy. And then whole-fat dairy, they say choosing whole milk with 24 milligrams of cholesterol compared to 5 for fat-free. So you might consider switching from a 3-ounce serving of low-fat cheese to a full-fat cheese with approximately 30% of the current daily limit. So all the stuff you've been recommending for years is back on the list again, Doc.
Well, thank you for that one, Doug. I actually first said it in 1971. When I was kind of just about done with that 10-year study with the Center for Biology of the Natural System, 20,000 autopsies, 10 million chemistries, 10 million slides with special stains, what I found was that it was the vegetarians and vegans that had the worst plugged arteries, and meat eaters just didn't have plugged arteries, and in both animals and people. And then in 1983,